Hey everyone, and welcome to Conducting Historical Research Workshop. Today we're going to be looking at primary versus secondary sources, citation styles, bibliographies, and how to use online databases. Before we begin, let's think about primary versus secondary sources. So what is a primary source? A primary source is a type of source that's taken by someone who was at the event themselves or who might have witnessed the event. Examples of primary sources include things like diaries or journals. Secondary sources analyze primary sources, and an example of a secondary source is something like a textbook or a workbook that you use every day. Now, why is it important to know the difference? Well, this is because when we're doing our own personal research, we need to know what type of source we're using and whether or not we can trust that source. So now that we've looked at primary and secondary sources, it's important to learn about citation styles and why to cite. So let's look at the reasons why we cite our information. It is important to cite the sources you use in your research for several reasons. These include showing your reader you've done your proper research by listing sources you used to get your information, to be a responsible scholar and give credit to other researchers, to avoid plagiarism by quoting words and ideas used by authors, to allow your reader to track down the sources you used by citing them accurately. The cool thing about citations is that you make your information accessible to the public so anyone can go back, double-check your sources, and continue on with the research that you've done. Now that we've learned a little bit about citations and why we cite, it's important to think about bibliographies. Bibliographies generally include the following information. They include the author's name, the title of the work, the name and location of the companies that published your copies of the source, the date your copy was published, and the page number of your sources. When making a bibliography, just remember to keep track of whether you were using primary or secondary sources. So, we know about citation styles, we know about our bibliography. What about fake news? Fake news is any news that was created with the intent of misleading its readers. Now, we have to be really careful with things like fake news or clickbait. Clickbait is the type of material that you see online with catchy headlines, catchy images, anything that makes you want to click on the image. Sometimes these websites profit off of internet click revenue. Now, how do we avoid using clickbait or fake news in our research? The steps that you can take to spot fake news are as follows. Step 1. Check the domain name. Does it look strange? Those ending in unusual domains such as .com/co are typically inaccurate. We can refer to websites such as .gov, .org, .edu, etc. Step 2. Refer to the About Us area on a website to see what it says, or refer to the websites for more information on the same story. Step 3. Read multiple news stories to see how or if they are reporting on the same story. Now that we know a bit more about citations and bibliographies, it's important to look at the type of news that we're using. With things like inaccurate news stories, it's important to remember that these stories are trying to mislead you and get you to click on the information. Now that we've looked at primary sources and secondary sources, citations, bibliographies, and inaccurate news, let's take a look at the Wired DSB databases and figure out how we can best use them for our research. Let's head to the Wired DSB website. Once you get there, click on the tab that says Student Tools and Resources on the top right-hand side. Once you're there, find the link that says The Canadian Encyclopedia. Click on it. Next, we are going to search the term Franklin Expedition. After searching the term Franklin Expedition, click on the fourth article that comes up. This article is titled Sir John Franklin. When the website opens, you will notice that the title of the article is in large text, followed by the author of the article, the published date, and when the website was last edited. When we see that the article was first published in 2008, over 10 years ago, is it still a trustworthy and accurate site? Well, when we look at the last edited date, we see that it was edited less than a year ago. It should be accurate and up to date. If you look at the top of the web page again, you will see a red tab on the left-hand corner that reads Content. If you click on that tab, it shows you a breakdown of all the different headings in the article. Further down, there is a tab that reads Resources. If you click on that tab, it will show you different books on the topic and various website links too. From this one website and this search term, we are now provided with other external resources that we can use. Now, let's look at the blue bubble floating at the bottom right-hand corner of your webpage. Click on it. You will see a white bubble with 2 quotation marks that reads Citation. Click on that. We can see that the citations have already been completed for us. The Canadian Encyclopedia is just one type of resource that you have access to through the Wired DSB database. Please feel free to check out the numerous other sources that are available. Thank you for watching this workshop on conducting historical research. Good luck with your researching.